What's up guys, welcome back to the video, and in today's video we're going to be talking about this guy, which is the Blackmagic 12G Video Assist. So I want to start off with a few disclaimers first. This is not a sponsored video in any way. Blackmagic did not send me this device for free. I paid for it with my own money, so everything that I say today will be my own opinion. So I had the chance to thoroughly test and use this monitor on video shoots that I've done throughout the week. I've shot in very high temperatures outside, and I've shot with it for over 5 hours at a time. So let's start off with the good things and then we'll go to the negative. First off, I would say that this is the best field monitor that I've ever used. So in my experience, I've used a small HD focus for quite a while now, and I've also used other monitors like the Field World Monitor 4K and etc. Out of those monitors, this has been the monitor that I've had the best experience with when making sure that my image looks exactly the way that I want it to look before I throw it into my editing software. So the setting that I primarily used was the waveforms. I personally love editing in DaVinci Resolve. I feel like I can get some really great color out of that software, and I've kind of been hooked on it since I was shooting with the Blackmagic 6K previously. With that being said, the first thing that I always use as soon as I jump into color grading in DaVinci Resolve is the waveform monitor. I use this to get my exposure exactly where I want it to be, so having that already on the device, being able to get that exactly where I want it to be as I'm shooting was a great benefit. Alright guys, so with that out of the way, let's jump into the second thing that I really loved about using this monitor. So my number one reason for purchasing this device was to breathe new life into old cameras. In my opinion, there are so many cameras out there nowadays that are a few years old or maybe even 1 year old, and they can give you great results. Now for a person like me who loves to color grade a lot, I really don't like the flexibility that those cameras give me in the editing room. So having something like an external recorder like the Blackmagic 12G Assist is a great option for breathing new life and pulling out better images from that camera through the HDMI or the SDI port. Now at the time I didn't have a camera because Amazon had lost my FX3, so I had to reorder it, which took a process of about 3 to 4 weeks. Now in that time period, I was able to borrow some cameras from a friend, so I thought to myself, if I could take this camera that's decent and run an HDMI out into this monitor and record externally, I'll be able to get some great results. Now while I'm still on the good things that this monitor offers, this specifically did not help me at all because the cameras that I had did not give a clean HDMI output. So before purchasing a monitor for this specific reason, make sure that your camera has a clean HDMI output so that you won't make the same mistake that I did when purchasing this monitor to do external recording. Now again, for the third time, I still do want to mark that as a plus. It was just my fault that I did not do my research to know if my camera had a clean HDMI output or not. Alright guys, and so now we're going to move on to the negatives that I had with this monitor. Now when purchasing this monitor for the temporary time that I needed it for, I also thought that this would be a great addition to my setup long term because I can record HDMI raw out of my FX3. So it comes to find out this monitor really only supports a few cameras that can actually record the Blackmagic RAW that this monitor offers. Now this was a huge disadvantage for me because like I said before, I love editing in DaVinci Resolve and I really like using Blackmagic RAW's codecs. And it was kind of ironic that it didn't work either because this camera is probably one of the #1 cameras being sold right now. Well, maybe not the FX3, but the A7S III. I mean, everyone's buying this camera left and right, so you would think that Blackmagic would have supported the RAW setting, recording for this camera, but they haven't yet. So this is something that I don't have access to, which is a bummer for me. So my second negative is that I really did not find myself using this monitor a lot on the shoots. So when looking back at the times when I was shooting, I actually found myself using my iPhone as a monitor a lot more than I was using this monitor for this job. For me, in the shoots that I do, I primarily use my Ronin RS2 a lot, and I also use the Raven I. So using this monitor added a lot of bulk to my setup and even made it off balance because the monitor was on the side and it kind of made it hard to shoot sometimes. Now the next reason why I didn't find myself using this monitor a lot is because the battery life would drain very quickly in my experience. Now I want you to take this one with a grain of salt because I have been using off-brand batteries for this monitor. However, I wasn't doing internal recording on the monitor. I was only recording from my camera and using this as a monitoring device. So I really don't understand why the battery ran quickly as it did. Now again, I was using this monitor in 95-degree weather for about 5 hours straight, so I'm sure that had a lot to do with the reason why the battery was draining so quickly, maybe, I'm not sure. If you guys have this monitor and you've had those issues as well, please let me know in the comment section below, or let me know what you think may have been an issue of why the battery was draining so quickly. The next reason why I didn't use this monitor as much on the shoots is because it did not work with my Raven Eye. Now if you guys don't know, the Raven Eye is a system that allows you to do tracking with your gimbal so that you can really get smooth shots and track subjects. Now while this monitor does have an HDMI out, it would not give my Raven Eye a signal for some reason. Again, I have no idea why. I changed the codec on the monitor to see if that was the reason why, but still I had no luck when running an HDMI from the camera to the monitor and then the HDMI cable from the output of the monitor into the Raven Eye. I would get no signal at all, and so that really wasn't good for me because I like to use the Raven Eye a lot when I'm shooting. Under this point, the last thing that I want to say is that this monitor really doesn't work well with my camera. Now for every single shot, I still had to rely on the monitor of the camera to make sure that I'm focusing in the right places and to also adjust the camera's ISO and etc. And so if you're having to access the camera's monitor just as much as you're using this monitor, for me, I didn't see a need in even using the monitor, which is why I would then switch to my iPhone because it was less weight when I was shooting. So for anybody who's a videographer like myself, I really wouldn't recommend this monitor because it's not very functional for me unless you have the specific cameras that are compatible with the raw internal recording that this monitor offers. And for me, I personally don't know very many people who have those cameras that can do the raw internal recording that this monitor offers. Most of my friends and most of the people that I watch on YouTube all shoot with the A7S III, or they shoot with a Blackmagic camera which can record raw already inside the camera, and so I don't know why you would need this to do that. Now that's just my opinion and that's my experience with this monitor, and I hope that they help you to figure out where to invest your money if you're a shooter like myself. But maybe in the future when they include more compatible cameras like mine, then I'll pick this monitor back up. But for now, that's it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.